Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts and you're catching me on True Divine 44. You can also get me on Bitchute as well as YouTube, and I'm adding the other platforms as and when in the description box below. Any likes, shares, subscribes, tweets or whatever else there is on the other platforms is appreciated because it helps me grow, it helps me sustain my family, and I appreciate you all doing that. Comments are the favorite, so of course please leave a comment, keep that dialogue going. We've gotten to know each other so well on this platform, so I appreciate anybody new coming into that. But the mix of the people there right now on YouTube is just so beautiful, and the companionship and dialogue that is opening up even behind the scenes beyond the platform amongst other platforms and privately is beautiful and exactly what we need right now, companionship of like frequencied people. So this is the daily energy readings that I put out on a daily basis to help support, guide and inspire those who want to be or need to be supported, guided and inspired. Take what resonates as it is general and ditch what does not. No offense will be taken. For the 8th of March. So combining the tarot and the energy work that I do, this gives you an idea of what the day may hold for you and the energies of that day within the people around you, within the energies within you, and just atmospherically around. So we've got the 7 of Pentacles first. So you can see here it's in reverse. Up in the upright, you can see it's this lady giving bread from her own hard work. She's balancing a lot. She's got the child on her back and the bread on her head, but she's still managing to extend one arm out to give this man who is in need some bread. We've got here, I think, a case of that this is the remembrance of, you know, when you build up pentacles, to let it flow forward, to continue to let it flow forward. Don't let it stagnate. With that being said, more abundance will be attracted into you. But it's in reverse. And so we're speaking about things being clogged, blocked in the pentacle realm. Now, the pentacles being the reality, the physical things, the physical people, the physical money, home, car. And so there's this blockage here. And this is because of, on the collective stage, there's this huge transitioning for better and worse into new systems and very nefarious systems for the so-called powers that be, you know, because they are in charge of the majority or all of it, or the direction of it. They're getting away with getting ahead, a jump, you know, on the rest of the collective. And so there is this blockage here because there's parts of the collective that are just in the dark as to, well, we've always, or for as long as we can remember, even generations before us, earned this much, spent this much, given this much tax and given this much to rent, and everything is blocked. You know, the old rules of, well, if you're willing to work hard, you can make it. They've been out the window for a long time, and deliberately so. They've been grinding people down within these systems worldwide into the poverty line, into making it more and more difficult to get on the physical ladder. And so individually, that's collectively. So we need to recognize that and start to make real noise of that and be really conscientious about the things that we are seeing. And you know, never mind silly things on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram at the minute going viral. These things that, especially in the financial realm, that they're doing behind the scenes need to be made, there needs to be a big noise made about them, because they can bring in new systems. We can bring in new systems. We can evolve. We can make things better. But if we don't know the facts, then we can't allow ourselves to be subject to the rules of whatever those facts may be, the new realities that they're creating may be. In our individual lives, there's this blockage also where something around the past. It keeps coming up. There seems to be a lot of unpicking of your past as individuals. There seems to be a necessary, a requirement, a need to really look back within this lifetime, and indeed maybe past lifetimes or generations before you lifetimes, to see what's been passed down. You see, with this being in reverse, we've got the Six of Cups to clarify. Now, the Six of Cups clarifying the Seven of Pentacles. We've got this, if you look at this card, you see the younger person being much taller than this old lady, giving this cup, emotions, waters, this cup full of flowers to the old lady. And it's, you see here, there's people in their prime here. This lady looks like she's in her prime, you know, she's a mother, she's fit and active and standing tall, giving to a shrunken elderly man. And it's in reverse. And then on this card, it's very similar, even though completely different deck and a completely different card. It's the 6 and then the 7, 7 and the 6. So 67 or 76 might mean something to some of you. But again, it's the similar image of the younger person bending down to give something to the older person. And there's this cycle, isn't there, in life where you're a child and you're smaller than the adults around you, and then as you grow as a child, and they're constantly giving you things, giving you physical things, food, cuddles, knowledge in the air realm, you know, wisdom in the air realm, thoughts, stories, and then the giving of emotions, you know, with the hugs and the kisses and compassion, and you know, making things feel better when you fall over, and then we've got your fire, you know, that you find out what the kid likes, and you know, they'll do that activity, that hobby, and fire up that passion. And then as the child grows, it's funny, isn't it, because you can look around and see the changes amongst families where the older, previously towering over energy of this child that was growing up, now the child's grown up, all of a sudden the child is around grandparents that are shrunken. You know, we shrink with age to an extent, and you know, sometimes we're hunched over, though we don't need to be, but with problems as they are in the medical field and stuff, we do have that. And so there's this exchange, isn't there, of roles, of capacities of those roles. And I want to say that one of the things we need to be really looking at today, and being active in making a noise, you know, do write the letters, do email, do make a noise, do try and get things to go viral, is about the elderly. We owe the elderly so much, not because they've earned this badge that no matter whether they're good or bad, you know, people, they've got the right to be whatever they want to be. Yes, they have to an extent, but in our eyes. But without the reverence of age, wisdom, knowledge, time spent in a lifetime, we lose a lot in the collective. We lose a lot of knowledge that can take us forward and get us out of really sticky situations. We lose a lot of fire because we haven't learned from those old passions that these people who were young and now old had and fought for, or indeed saw relatives who actively fought for passionately the rights of others. I had this with my granddad, and I can't thank him enough. And I hope following his image as to trying to make a difference for people, because in a world where we are bombarded with negative, and very surface layer stuff, you know, the pout on the pictures, the booty and whatever it is. Because of that, if I'd not known my granddad, or even my mum, if I'd not known them, or Abigail, she's the same, but if I'd not known them, I wouldn't have had the privilege, and I maybe would have doubted that there are people in the world that do want to use their skill set for nothing else other than the good of others. I maybe would have doubted that, but because I've had that personal experience, that's a gift to me, that I can see that in other people, that I can recognize that in other people, that the ego isn't there getting in the way, blocking them exchanging their gifts with others for nothing other than service to others. And so we need to really concentrate on getting back to this reverence for life in general, but having this reverence for the aged, and there feels like there's a real blockage here in the physical reality, and it's coming up in my mind's eye of not being allowed to have visitors at the nursing homes, literally being cattled to places that didn't have adequate staffing, and then locked down, and so didn't have adequate staffing in the UK, and then stopping. What usually would buffer that out is the visitors that would come in and spend time and discuss things, and wash the feet and help feed their relative. All of that was gone. And today, for some reason, it's really coming up strongly that we need to, one, investigate that and be part of putting that knowledge out there. If you guys come across something, let me know. I'll stick it out there if I can clarify the points that you make and make sure that I'm not stepping on toes. I'll put it out there, because there needs to be this light shone on this literal blockage, this literal veil that was put over, and we allowed it to happen as a collective. How did we allow that to happen? How did we accept that? There was people might say, oh, well, the science. Well, there was no scientific evidence for that. None at all. And so there's something about this today that's going to come up more so, whether it's new information or not. I can't really pinpoint whether it's in the US or in Australia or in the UK, because we were all as bad as each other regarding the elderly. So there's something about this that we need to be looking at and remembering that this role reversal, this capacity reversal in the roles, it is our job to make sure that this is put right as far as we can put it right, but to make sure that this is known, to make sure that this is put right, it is our role. The gifts that have been given so much in the past from these people, just being in life, experiencing life, being a part of this circle that ultimately birthed each and every one of us into here, whether it's generations down or not, we need to have that reverence. And I really do feel that if we can find that reverence, this Seven of Pentacles would turn in the upright, because we'd be putting in flow the giving nature, the protective nature, the nourishing nature that we should have towards our elderly in the collective, and especially our elderly close to home. So yeah, I would love my grandparents to be here. I would. I know they're around me all the time. I feel them, but that I appreciated them very, very much, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I haven't got that regret that I didn't appreciate them. So if you've got a living grandparent or elderly aunt or uncle today, make a fuss. Make a fuss of them, even if you live far away. If you have the money, order them something to be delivered to their house. If you can't afford that, try and write them a letter. They would be thrilled to get a letter through the post, to just hear about your day in a letter, old school, something to hold, the actual handwriting, holding that energy. It would mean so much to quite a few elderly relatives, I can assure you of that. So then we've got, this card blew me away also, the Strength card, Major Arcana, it's number 11 in this deck. So strength, fortitude, it's la force in this one, or la force, so forceful energy. And I wanted to draw attention to this ankh here that she's holding, and there's another one here in this deity. And so I looked at this and I thought, hold on a minute, I've never noticed that she's holding it upside down. They're usually always laid flat or pointing towards the feet somehow. Why is she holding it upside down? And in more traditional decks, this is the balance of the divine feminine meeting and measuring out the action of the force of the divine masculine, which would be like the Leo lion. So a lion being not controlled, but harnessed by the divine feminine. And it's not a masculine and feminine competition. It's the divine feminine balance within each and every person, male or female. And so it's about getting this balance right. But to a certain extent, she has to use her own force, her own wit to balance out the divine masculine within, whatever person it's within, excuse me. And it's a struggle. Now, the ankh being upside down, this makes sense because looking at it, you know, it's a symbol that literally means life, live. There's others that have argued that it is an actual mix of the. Sorry, William's shouting. He is playing. He's not upset. It is a mix of the feminine and masculine reproductive organs of the divine feminine and divine masculine, and a depiction, a representation of them both being one and the same. It is about, force. It's about life force. And so her holding it upside down is really poignant to show that it takes quite a bit of struggle. It takes quite a bit of strength to balance out your divinities, to not just let your lion, your masculine rage because it feels like it or because it seems like it should, but it's the wrong situation or wrong people. But non-harnessed masculine would just go at it. It takes a lot of poise and grace to keep that action side back. And it also takes a lot of force, it's a challenge to be compassionate in certain areas, in certain situations. So the two together, both divinities, are challenged to stay in balance. And it is a challenge of force and strength of both sides of self, both parts of your divinities. So it's not to say that we recognize today that today, for some reason, particularly the news about the elderly, for some reason today there is a need to have to recognize this struggle, that it's not so easy all of the time to balance out the divine feminine and divine masculine. Also, what came to mind for me, and this is just for me, is that the divine feminine in this card is holding the ankh upwards, which reminded me of male reproductive organs. And this divine masculine energy in the card here is holding the ankh downwards, like the womb, the female reproductive organs. And so there's a balance of the two, the essence of the two, both essences of both sides of divinity have to harness force to be able to measure each other out. And that takes a lot of skill, and it takes a lot of control. And so this is what we need today, this strength. Now, we do need to show also that the divinities within, they are for life. If you look at the representation from a lot of people's arguments, the ankh is life force, live. How do we want to live? And do we value this life so little that we would let others be in such control of it, that we would let others micromanage it so much and not give us the freedom to measure out our own force. I feel the micromanaging has been another huge thing that has made us lose a lot of our divinities, or a lot of our abilities to use the divinities in the way that they should be used from within. And so, meeting with that, we've got the Queen of Wands. And so this Queen of Wands is actually, energy-wise, as a character, she wants peace. The sunflower is a depiction of peace. She is very compassionate, very sensual, very beautiful energy. And on the surface, in the 3D, might be in a person, quite a shy person. But then the type of person, once you get to know them, you think, I didn't know you would be into that. You're wild, you know, or similar things to that. It's that they're not too vivacious on the outside at first. It takes a while for them to warm up and trust. But they once they warm up, they surprise. And so she's got legs open here, and a black cat here. For me, this is always guarding the womb, the entrance to the magic chamber. But she recognizes that sensuality. She recognizes that her womb is the capacity or the capacitator for being the dark woman manifest, represented by this cat. It makes you laugh when you hear the slang, you know, pussy, and then you see this in the cards, and you recognize everything comes from something with meaning. And so this is where it's very important here, and this is a completely separate message, that in the divinities we recognize our worth. In the divinities we recognize the damage that a poisonous energy entering into the space where the divinities dwell can cause. And so it's to really be aware, and it's a completely separate message going on from the life force and how much you put up with. This is maybe for some of you and not all of you, to really be aware of spiritual STDs, you know, and physical representations of them also, that there are a lot of people losing their shit now. And there are a lot of people wanting to cling on to other energy sources. And they'll say anything, do anything to be able to do that. I feel there's a lot of beings in disguise. And so, you know, be very careful and meet with your force and your divine feminine, yes, but in balance, so that you are choosing sexual partners for sure very, very carefully, and not giving away of yourself very easily, because it just, I don't know, something about today, it seems like it's ripe, you know, ripe for disasters like this in people's lives, where the sacred sexual energy is under attack, for sure, and through the actions of the people in the collective and through the actions of the so-called powers above. Bringing this Ankh back in the strength card, you know, the Christianization of ancient Egypt, they decided to keep that as a symbol because they recognized the energy of it. Now, one thing the Egyptians did was, not one thing, but the hieroglyphics were a representation, symbolization of sound. So it was picture description of what sounds they were trying to describe. It was also a pictorial description of things that were hard to describe, etherical forces, things that were difficult to put into a sentence of words. And because the symbols, and this shows you the vast amount of ingenious in this realm, however long it's been here, is that within these symbols, they give off this force, they give off this vibration, this frequency. And so the Christians recognized the power and force that this symbol had, and so pretty much kept it. This bit was more circular, the loop at the top was more circular, but they kept it and brought it around their churches. So if you are still trapped in some kind of trap regarding organized religion, in particular Christianity, know that if you look for it, there's plenty of information out there to say that they made it up on the back of many other things, including a lot of pagan things, because I think that would release a lot of people. So this Queen of Wands, going back to it before I go on, is also, she is a little bit like these two cards sort of go into each other, merge into each other, the energies of them. This one here, she's holding a wand too. Now, wands are, particularly male, like the phallic symbol, the fertile, the symbol where the seed is, for the shoots. Now, she is very much all woman, very much divine feminine, in female form, and she's holding a wand also. So even she is showing the divine masculine. It's not that she's masculine physically, but she's showing the symbolism of her divine masculine and the symbolism of a divine feminine here, here, and here. And so it's showing you this important balance of the within, to create the balance on the without. And sometimes we can be challenged by this because it's almost like self-sabotage, particularly on the sacred sexual energy front, that, we can be almost, it feels like we're being almost tested to see if we'll go back to old ways or go back to old partners. Again, be very careful of that. I think it would block things. I think it would create physical problems sexually. It's just not a clean energy today. It's all about clean divine feminine, divine masculine within, and make sure you've got that in balance before you go out anywhere or let anybody go in anywhere. So we've got the Two of Cups to clarify, not to clarify the next card. Ooh-wee. So this is talking about soulmate energy. I feel some of you today might be challenged by people from the past that didn't work out so well before, or that, just never got off the ground before. And that you may have to really practice your divine self and hold off a little bit until these energies pass and until you're in that balanced zone. Life finds a way, I'm hearing, and I feel like it would be a bit of a movie script thing of a pregnancy occurring, unwanted, unplanned pregnancy occurring, if things went ahead today anyway. And so, but it's challenging because there are a lot of people that are lonely and they want that companionship, and there's a familiarity there, which makes it feel easier. And so, but this goes back to, again, this divine feminine, divine masculine balance within. And again, there's the cat there, there's a lot to be said about the divine feminine energy getting back to her rightful place, where, like the Queen of Wands, she feels free to practice her sensuality, to practice her sacred sexual art within self, and then in companion with others that have done similar work. But to be feminine, to be able to express yourself as a divine feminine energy in the physical form, but also making sure that you have enough of the masculine within in all three of these cards to be able to be that pussycat, that god, pussy god, pussy god, to make sure that you feel so free to practice your divine femininity, sensuality, and sexuality without feeling the obligation to to go there with the wrong people, or at the wrong time in the wrong way. And I don't know how many men would be able to resonate with this, but women, if it's not you that's resonating, you know this story of that actually men probably wouldn't even dream how much it is indoctrinated for women to feel obligated to literally go to bed with people, you know, if they've bought you a great meal, or it depends where you live and what kind of upbringing you've had, but there is this overall indoctrination of, you know, you give it up kind of thing. And that's because we've really lessened what sexual energy is and sexual practice is. And it's important that we get back to the wisdom of that, because there has been a deliberate attack on the divine feminine, and this just being part of it. You know, even in the movies, you see it, this, you know, feeling obligated to give this sacred self away and allow somebody who maybe isn't so sacred in. And of course it happens to males too, but this reading is really turning towards the females here. And, you know, I can bet you if we were in a room, many of the women would say, yeah, I know that story. You know, it's a story that we do need to get right and remember it and be honest about it and allow that flow to start again, rather than the blocked Seven of Pentacles, free of any guilt. And a lot of men probably won't believe I'm saying this, to say what, you know, but actually women, I know a lot of you will agree that, and I'm not saying this is put on us by men, I'm saying just society wise, we've been indoctrinated very much so to feel guilt about not giving it up kind of thing, not giving in, not, you know, giving it away. And so this is something for some of you that really needs to be worked on, and it would pay off in dividends immediately, even when you just start working on it, the flow that you're going to feel, the sensuality, the creativity. This is good. It's real good if you can start this ball rolling for yourself. You're going to feel like a goddess. You're going to feel beautiful, as you should. And then you're going to be such a gift to anybody who is with you, male or female. They're going to be gifted by that presence of that divine feminine in full knowing and balance with their divine masculine. A lot of women will agree also that there's this thing where women have had to become, or felt they've had to become, or manipulated to become very outwardly masculine, that, you know, they've got to do that almost as a protection mechanism, to protect the divine feminine. Again, I go back to this strength card. Having that imbalance is key, very much so. So the Two of Cups, lastly, is clarified by the Strength card. Da, 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 and that's the number 8 in this deck. And this shows what I was talking about in this Strength card. So we've got 2 Strength cards, both clarifying very much a recognition of the divine feminine coming forward within whoever's resonating with this, and learning how to be fruitful, be on show, and in confidence of the use of the divine masculine. And so here you can see the depiction of the divine feminine energy managing to pose and shape the divine masculine, the Leo, the lion, and to subdue the divine masculine within until action is needed. It's the balance is key. Again, depicting balance and divinities, the divine feminine here, the divine masculine here, and the infinite loop that we go through. And so, which is very similar to the Ankh, actually. It's so the infinity being that life force energy, you know, that infinite life force. And so getting it right, you know, is super important, because one of the other things I was talking to Wayne about is this indoctrination that there's an end to this, that even if you've been indoctrinated through Christianity that life goes on, you believe that, you know, the end to this lifetime is it, you know, that there's just this heaven that you can go to, and it's not the case. it's this infinite loop of possibilities of as far as we can see and feel, and as far as I've seen and feel, very different dimensions, too many to mention, and different realities that we can be reborn into. And so it's the recognition of the bigger picture here, and really getting back down to the past, way back in the past, when instead of giving all of our energy and worship to one thing outside of ourselves that many haven't experienced anything of, or anything that good of, and getting back to the recognition of the devas within, the gods within, the energy points within, the divinities within, and being able to start from there to the without is super powerful. And it starts to unpick and unravel a lot of the things that have been put in place way back in the past by these intruders, and have taken us way off course. And it feels counterproductive in a way to do a lot of inner work during this, but to be honest, it's the best thing we can do. It's about the only thing we can do, as well as that, once we're in balance, we take the right kind of action on the outside anyway. I'm not saying be out of action. No, we need action more than ever. But it really is about this, the importance of the within and the life force within, and the recognition of it and the reverence of it also, so that we can recognize and have reverence for other life force within others, whether that be people, animals, the earth. To really have this reverence is super important right now, and it's lacking. A lot of people who've come out of organized religion are so switched off right now to spirituality in general, and they've got this void, because this void usually was filled up with tithing, worship, time, reading, and now they've got this void that they're filling up with things that I've noticed aren't so great for them or for those around them. So if you know those people, try and help, try and guide them. You can only guide, you can't push, you can't do for them. It's just guidance. And so, but it would do you good to reach out to them if you know that they've been in this organized religious space and then they've left it. It would be good to reach out to them, because I feel like that would take a lot of people from this realm, the disappointment and all of that, the heartbreak and all of that, and then the void. And so there's many different messages that have come out today across the board, really. I'm going to leave it as that. The message and the reading is the reading, and I know it'll hit the right people. And some people can take parts of the reading and leave the rest, and vice versa. Yeah, I'm just going to leave the message as is. And so on the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ace of Swords, clarity, cutting the head off the snake. I really do feel by going towards these divinities within in such a way, such a force, that we do get to recognize who the snake is and where the snake got in our individual lives and on the collective stage. And on the bottom of the other deck, we have the Empress card, and this is through our thoughts, our words, and our deeds, we create our reality. You can see here the pine cone tree, quite literally behind her, the enlightenment of the pineal gland. The divine feminine Empress is in such a high consciousness, she's such a high frequency. The pomegranates here, depicting high consciousness, high frequency, connection to the spirit and the physical world, passions, fertility. We've got the divine feminine symbol here and in a heart shape. So, working through the heart chakra, projecting through those thoughts and those words and those deeds, we create our reality. She has the star here, stars above her head in the crown and her feet firmly on the ground. She's drawing from a divinity and putting it into the physical reality. It's an abundant card. There's wheat here and green trees behind her. The sun's shining, there's abundance here. So no lack in your lives today. Speak positively, act positively. Make sure your deeds are working towards whatever it is you feel guided to work towards, even if you don't know the full picture of what it's going to look like yet. Make sure you're taking that action as well as those thoughts and those words. You take the action. So very powerful reading for those that it needed to hear it. Other than that, it felt a bit jumbled up, but it feels like a lot of people's insides are a bit jumbled up, and there's a lot to unpick and unravel and balance out. Remember the old people, though, and leave a comment as to anything that you see there, because that breaks my heart in two, that they should be treated with any disrespect at all. So I appreciate you all for listening. Much love, stay balanced and stay whole, and I'll catch you all tomorrow, if not beforehand. See how time goes. I try and fit in videos as and when I can. Much love. Mwah.